Splatoon has quickly emerged as one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, and it only continues to grow, but what is the history of this popular game series? Splatoon was produced by Hisashi Nogami, and development started shortly after the release of the Wii U. The initial goal of the project was to create an innovative game that would stand out among the other countless Nintendo franchises. The development team generated over 70 ideas to build a game around, before landing on the concept that would eventually become Splatoon. Before the Inklings, the game starred playable tofu blocks with the goal of covering more ink than the other team in a time limit. This was the prototype of the main turf war mode found in every Splatoon game. However, many key aspects of the series, such as swimming in the ink and climbing up walls, were not yet included in this early build. As the game's development continued, the team realized that having a game with playable tofu blocks may not be the most interesting idea, so they worked to replace them. The team thought of many possible playable characters, from rabbits to even having the game star Mario. The developers wanted Splatoon to be a new IP, and thus decided on rabbits rather than the already established plumber. However, the team wanted a playable character that fit with the theme of shooting ink, and concurred that playable squids fit better than rabbits. The game initially only had a playable squid that stood upright, instead of having a character that switched between a human and squid form. This design was quickly scrapped, and the team then decided on the Inkling design that is still used today. After the design and gameplay concept were finalized, the game was officially unveiled at E3 2014. The trailer showcased perfectly what the game was about, and the reception surrounding the title was overwhelmingly positive. Nintendo had not had a main new IP since Pikmin before Splatoon, and the Inklings in the colorful world of Inkopolis fit seamlessly into the Nintendo universe. The main turf war mode was showcased during the trailer, and the game even had a playable demo at E3. As the game got closer to its release date, more and more features were showcased. On November 5th, 2014, a full single-player campaign was announced and showed off a bunch of original enemy designs that are now staples in the series. Then, on May 7th, 2015, there was a Nintendo Direct focused exclusively on Splatoon. This Direct overviewed all the main modes and mechanics of the game, and announced a limited-time demo called the Global Test Fire that let players test out the game for free for a couple days. Then, the game was officially released a couple of weeks later on May 28th, 2015. The title reviewed well on Metacritic, with an average critic score of 81. Some critics thought the gameplay was fun, but the game was light on content when it first released. Luckily, the developers released free updates periodically for a full year after the game's initial release. These updates included a ton of new weapons, stages, gear, and even introduced a brand new ranked mode, Rainmaker. There were also many Splatfest events throughout the game's life cycle, including a special one between the Squid Sisters. The winner of the Splatfest, Marie, would have a prominent role in the story mode of Splatoon's sequel. Splatoon 2 was already in development during the Splatfest, and the choice of Splatoon's fans directly influenced the single-player mode of the next Splatoon, which is a really neat idea. Splatoon was a commercial success, selling just under 5 million copies. It sold more copies than Mario Party 10 and Super Mario Maker, which was really impressive since Splatoon was a brand new IP. Not too long after the final weapon update of Splatoon was released, a brand new Nintendo console was announced, the Nintendo Switch. During the official reveal trailer, many titles were shown, including what looked like a new Splatoon title. This trailer sparked debate among Nintendo fans, whether this Splatoon Switch title was an enhanced port of the original Splatoon, or a brand new sequel altogether. That question was answered a few months later, as the first Nintendo Switch presentation in January 2017 fully unveiled the title that was teased. The game was not an enhanced port, but was instead a full sequel to the original title, fittingly named Splatoon II. The trailer showcased a bunch of new mechanics, headlined by a new weapon called the Dualies. This weapon could perform dodge rolls to avoid enemy fire. There were also new stages, specials, and even new features added to returning stages. Splatoon 2 was given a 2017 release window exclusively for the Nintendo Switch. One other brand new addition to this game was revealed in April 2017, Salmon Run. This mode is a team deathmatch, where 4 players team up to try and collect enough power eggs in a time period. There are 3 rounds in one complete match, and the goal is to get enough power eggs into the basket and to stay alive within the time limit. Power eggs are dropped by boss salmonids, and the gameplay can get super hectic, especially on higher difficulties. Salmon Run was a great addition to the Splatoon series, and brought a nice change of pace for when the player might be tired of 4 vs 4 multiplayer battles. Splatoon 2, much like its predecessor, had its own dedicated direct which gave a nice overview of the game, and announced some of the planned post-launch free content, including a brand new weapon called the Splatbrella. The game was ultimately released on July 21st, 2017. Splatoon 2 reviewed slightly higher than the original on Metacritic, with an average score of 83. Splatoon 2 also had similarly expansive free content with new stages, special weapons, and one brand new mode, Clam Blitz. But unlike the original, Splatoon 2 also had paid DLC. The Octo Expansion was announced in March 2018, and it showcased a brand new story mode that starred the popular Octoling characters instead of the Inklings. It also confirmed playable Octolings in the main multiplayer modes, which was a feature that had been requested since the first Splatoon game. Octo Expansion was more focused on short, challenging levels, which many players enjoyed. Each level had a completely different goal that ranged from not getting hit within a time limit to levels with a limited ink tank. The constant variety and the more challenging gameplay led most players to prefer Octo Expansion to the original single-player mode in Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2 sold over 13.3 million units worldwide, and remains one of the best-selling Switch games today. Splatoon is a series that has quickly grown into one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, in spite of being one of the newest IPs, and with Splatoon 3 on the horizon, it seems that momentum is only gonna continue.